Have you ever stopped to wonder why we do the things we do? Why we put things off, fall in love with our own half-baked creations, or make financial decisions that make zero sense in hindsight? Well, we're about to dive into Dan Ariely's incredible work on all the hidden forces that are secretly pulling the strings. So get ready, because what we're about to cover is going to challenge some of your most basic ideas about how your own mind works. So, let me just ask you straight up. Think about it for a sec. Are you a totally rational person? When you have a choice to make, do you always, and I mean always, weigh every pro and every con to pick the absolute best option for yourself? Be honest. You know, for the longest time, standard economics was built on this one simple idea, that of course we're all rational. But Dan Ariely's work blew that wide open. He showed that not only are we irrational, but we're predictably irrational. Our mistakes follow a pattern. And that, my friends, is where things get really, really interesting. Okay, let's kick things off with a huge one, something that affects pretty much every single workplace: the connection between money and motivation. This right here is the foundation of how most companies think about pay. From Wall Street traders to tech gurus, the belief is simple: bigger carrot, faster donkey. The more money you put on the table, the better people will perform. It makes perfect sense, right? Just really put yourself in this situation. Your boss dangles a bonus in front of you that's worth 5 months of your salary. Life-changing money. All you have to do is nail this one complex, mentally draining task. You'd be laser-focused, right? You'd perform at the absolute top of your game. Or would you? And here is where our gut feeling just smashes head-on into the hard data. When Ariely and his team actually tested this, the results were, well, stunning. See, for simple mechanical work, sure, more money worked. But for tasks that required real creativity and brain power, whoa, it was a totally different ballgame. I mean, this chart just says it all. The group that was offered the largest possible bonus, we're talking a massive 5 months' pay, they actually performed the worst. The pressure was so immense, they choked. It turns out that kind of high-stakes stress actually narrows our focus. It blocks out creativity. They got so fixated on the reward, they couldn't actually focus on the work itself. And to make this really hit home, Ariely talks about one guy in the experiment whose hands were literally shaking. He just kept mumbling, "This is very, very important. I have to succeed." But the sheer weight of that opportunity was just too much. The dream of what that money could do for him completely crushed his ability to earn it. So this research really forces us to ask a pretty tough question, one that Congressman Barney Frank summed up perfectly. If gigantic bonuses can actually make performance worse on the really important, complex stuff, then what are they even for? Okay, next up, let's talk about our relationship with work itself. We're kind of taught to think of effort as a negative, right? Something you have to spend, something to minimize. But what if we have that completely backward? What if the effort is the very thing that gives work its value? You have absolutely felt this. You know that bookshelf you spent a whole Saturday wrestling with? It's a little wobbly, the instructions made no sense, but you love that thing more than any perfect pre-assembled piece of furniture you could ever buy. Ariely give this a name: the IKEA effect. All our effort, our sweat, even our frustration, it gets baked right into the final product as love. And check out this classic story. When instant cake mixes first came out in the 50s, they were a total bust. Marketers couldn't figure it out. The answer was just beautifully irrational. They took out the powdered eggs and milk, forcing the baker to add a fresh egg and some milk themselves. That tiny bit of effort was all it took. It gave them ownership. It wasn't just the mix's cake anymore, it was their cake. Ariely's experiment with Legos demonstrates this perfectly. So in one group, the meaningful one, every Lego model you built was carefully placed on a shelf for you to see. In the other group, the Sisyphean one, well, the moment you finished a model, the experimenter took it apart right in front of your eyes. Ouch. The result? A massive drop in motivation. People in the first group built way more, even though they were paid the same. It just proves that seeing the fruits of your labor, even tiny ones, matters a lot. Of course, this deep love for our own creations can, make us a little blind to their flaws. That lopsided pot you made in a ceramics class? To you, it's a masterpiece. This old saying just nails it. We tend to see our own work through very, very rose-colored glasses. So this brings us to our final and maybe the most challenging bit of irrationality we're going to talk about, our deep, powerful, and unwavering love for our own ideas. There was this classic TV ad that just hits way too close to home for a lot of us. A junior employee offers a great idea and crickets. Nothing. A minute later, the boss says the exact same thing, maybe with a confident hand gesture, and suddenly it's the most brilliant idea anyone's ever heard. It's funny because it's so painfully true. Ownership is everything. And yep, this has a name. It's called the not invented here bias. It's this powerful subconscious belief that if an idea wasn't invented by me or by my team, well then it's probably not that great. We just automatically think our own solutions are better, smarter, and more likely to work. And look, this isn't just about bruised egos in a meeting. This bias can have huge, history-altering consequences. Just look at the battle between Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla. Edison was so deeply invested in his own baby, direct current, that he just couldn't accept that Tesla's alternating current was vastly superior. His love for his own idea literally blinded him to a better future, a mistake that cost his company dearly. So, after hearing all this, you might be thinking, wow, are we just hopelessly flawed? Well, Ariely argues no, not at all. The key isn't to try and eliminate our irrationality. That's basically impossible. The key is to understand it and maybe, just maybe, learn how to use it. So, let's do a quick recap of what we've touched on. First, throwing huge amounts of money at people for complex tasks can totally backfire. Second, the effort we put into something is what makes us value it. That's the IKEA effect. And third, we are all hopelessly biased towards our own stuff, especially our own ideas. And this is the whole point. This is why it all matters. Understanding these little quirks about ourselves isn't just fun trivia. It's a user manual for our brains. It's a blueprint for building better companies, for designing smarter incentives, for creating more meaningful work, and for learning how to just pause for a second and appreciate a brilliant idea, even when it's not ours. So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Instead of fighting tooth and nail to become some perfectly rational robot, maybe the real goal is to better understand and even appreciate the beautifully, predictably irrational humans that we are. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other so-called flaws might actually be our hidden strengths?